Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to try to answer the question, who is the most jacked pro skateboarder? As many of you know, the main reason I started this channel was to help promote health and wellness in the skateboarding community. But I thought this would be a fun video, and it's worth mentioning that no, the way you look or the amount of muscle you hold on your frame isn't necessarily indicative of better health, right? More isn't necessarily better. It definitely tells me that they put in a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of dedication to do that. And obviously the term jacked is pretty subjective. So I suppose the criteria I'm going for are people that are skateboarding at a high level, that are putting out clips, that probably have their own board and sponsors, but they're also prioritizing their health. They're also clearly not neglecting resistance training. I suppose that some of these skaters on my list here are more jacked than they are pro, and some of them are more pro than they are jacked, so to speak. And so I'm really interested in what you guys think. These are the ones that seem to stand out to me. All right, so first up is Neen Williams, and he's really the inspiration for this whole channel. He is the reason that I really decided to start doing this, because I saw his early YouTube videos where he was making stretching videos and talking about his nutrition. The guy has some certifications and obviously has put a lot of time and effort in learning some of the science about fitness and nutrition. I listened to him on a couple different interviews, and to the degree that I understand fitness and nutrition, the guy seems to know what he's talking about. And so Neen is number one on my list, because if you had to pick one person to try to get information from that has a lot of good information that is being put out by him, I think he's the way to go. All right, so when you saw the title of this video, you probably knew I was coming to this guy pretty soon. Obviously, this is Brandon Biebel, and someone who is OG, absolutely rips. And lately, though, as you can see, he's been putting in some work in the gym. The guy ripped. I mean, I'm sure he still does rip, and I gotta believe that if he stepped on a skateboard again, I mean, I know he's gonna be better than me, right? So I can't really say the guy's not gonna be good, but he'd be in the category of people that are probably more jacked than they are pro right now. It's hard for me to make a video like this and not have him on the list, so he had to be my number 2 spot. And number 3 on my list, and I was pretty tempted to make him number 1, because I do think that if you're talking about jacked pro skaters, he's kind of at the high level of both of those. He is a great professional skateboarder, and he is a very large individual that has a lot of physical presence, and that is Cordano Russell. The guy is just a freak, and he comes from a background of other sports. Obviously, if you know his story, he was a football player. And the guy might not seem very, quote, jacked if you glance at him, but that's because he's 6'4", 230 pounds. Big reason that I like him is the innovation with simplicity. His trick selection when he goes down rails. He just turns difficult ways, and he does, I guess what I'm getting at is he does a lot of tricks that are simple, but he does them in a big way, and I think he makes them look really good. And if you ever saw the clip of him doing skating that one ledge, if anyone else out there played football to any degree, I mean, even if you played like Pop Warner football and you remember what it was like to have shoulder pads and a helmet, he skated a pretty famous ledge, which is not small, and he did that in uppers and shoulder pads and a helmet. That is extremely difficult and super impressive. Next on the list is Joslin. I don't know if you guys have noticed this lately, but he's been on a health kick, and he's been on a health kick apparently for quite a while now. I've just seen recent clips, and what I'm seeing tells me that he's been working on this for a long time. Like, the guy carries some muscle mass. The guy carries a little bit of size. He carries enough size to where at his age, you know he's putting in some work. The kind of stuff that he's posting on YouTube and and some of it on Instagram is him doing some recovery work and talking about supplements. But I can just tell that the way he's talking about it, he's been working with some people. He's been working with like a PT. He's been doing some strength training. Like, the guy's getting really into it, and I think that's freaking awesome, because let's be honest, Chris Joslin is the shit. If there's anyone that we want skating for a really long time, it's Chris Joslin. We want to see the big backside flips. We want to see the big spins. We want to see that tray flip for the longest possible time. So I really hope he keeps this up. And I'm sure some of you were waiting for this moment as well. And the next on my list is Wrecking Ball, the gatekeeper himself. We can't talk about jacked skateboarders without talking about the self-proclaimed most jacked skateboarder, right? People have different opinions about Wrecking Ball. I like him. One of the reasons I like him is that the guy rips. I mean, if you see some of his older skate clips, kind of reminds me of Biebel in a way. Very powerful tricks, a lot of control, would talk shit. When he would talk about how good he was, he could throw down. When I would try to find out, is the guy pro? What were his sponsors? What was it like him coming up? What were some of his first sponsors? You know, pro models, things like that. I mean, I didn't dig huge into it, but nothing really comes up. And interestingly, when you do Google what is his real name, another pro skater's name comes up that's clearly not him. At least I don't think so. So, yeah. And next on my list is Nyjah. And that might be surprising to some people, I'd imagine, because the reason I think it might be is I went to Tampa Pro one year. I forget what year this was. It might have been like 5-6 years ago now. And I ran into Nyjah, like literally I turned a corner and I almost walked into him at one point. And it was in between runs. He was getting some food or something like that. I said, what's up to him? You know, I was a fan of his skating, and then that was that. But what I remember was that the guy had some size to him. Like, it was very surprising to me. And the reason I know this is because, I mean, I'm 6 feet, about 185. I mean, I'm not huge, but I'm not small. No, but the guy had some size to him. And when I dug a little bit, he did talk about, in some interviews, he had this thing with Men's Health where he talked about how he did have a home gym and he would put himself through workouts. And I think he's smart enough to know that if he's going to keep performing at a really high level, he has to make that part of his regular regimen. And I think he has. And anyway, I'm really putting him on the list solely from when I ran into him that one time at Tampa Pro. I remember thinking, wow, you're a bigger dude than I thought you were. These last two skaters are ones that really I found through Instagram that just kind of, you know, agreed with my algorithm, and they're ones that I see a little more often. And one of them is Hosman. If you haven't followed Cole or know who this kid is, I think he skated with Nyjah for a little bit on Disorder. He talks about that a little bit in some of his YouTube videos. But the guy has also been pretty outspoken about his passion for health in general. Obviously, you can look at the kid and see that, you know, he takes care of himself. He's pretty well-rounded as far as the activities he does. He obviously incorporates some resistance training. He still skates. I think he has a really good style. And I don't know if he's amateur or if he was technically pro at some point, but he is someone who definitely made the list just from kind of me observing him in my peripheral and seeing like, wow, this kid's got a pretty big following, and he's posting content about him going on long runs, you know, doing workouts, prioritizing his health, participating in a lot of other stuff besides skateboarding, and I thought that was kind of cool. All right, and lastly, we have, and it's all on the guy's Instagram handle of why I decided to put him on this list, but he also rips, and that is Buff Jake Skates. You have to give credit where credit's due. I mean, the guy is doing some impressive stuff, and I do think it's kind of interesting that you're seeing more of these kind of people pop up, people that are combining the health and fitness with skateboarding and doing it well, and doing it really well. And again, I think it's a really cool thing. You see skateboarders that are appearing to prioritize their health. I think it's a good thing. I'm really curious everyone's opinion on this, because I'm sure there are people out there. There's probably a bunch of pros that I missed that are prioritizing their health and are super into whatever. And I just, you know, they're not in my algorithm, so to speak. I'm sure there's going to be some people that I missed, and I want to hear about them. So let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about the definitions of pro skateboarder. As always, I really appreciate everybody watching, and we'll be seeing you soon.